So Hare Krishna. So I welcome all of you to this program of Narasimha Nirajana, where we have been studying Srimad Bhagavatam 7th canto systematically. Today is the very auspicious occasion of Akshaya Tritiya. We will be discussing very briefly about Akshaya Tritiya and Chandan Yatra also. Let us begin with Mangalacharan first. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin iti namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vagisha Yasya Vadane Lakshmi Yasya Cha Vakshasi Yasya Te Hridaye Samved तं नृसिंहमहं भजे एकेन चक्रमपरेण करेण शङ्खम् अन्येन सिन्धुतनयम् अवलम्ब्य तिष्ठन् वामेतरेण वरदाभयपद्मचिह्नम् लक्ष्मी नृसिंहमम देहि करावलम्बम् उग्रं वीरं महाविष्णुं ज्वलन्तं सर्वतोमुखं नृसिंहं भीषणं भद्रं मृत्युं मृत्योर्नमाम्यहम् प्रह्लाद नारद पराशर पुण्डरीका व्यासादि भागवत पुंगव हृन्निवासा भक्तानुरुक्त परिपालन पारिजाता लक्ष्मी नृसिंह मम देहि करावलम्बम् आदौ यदीयो प्रथमा द्वितीयो तृतीय तुर्यो कथितौ यदूरु नाभिस्तथा पञ्चमयेव षष्ठो भुजान्तरन्दोर्युगलं ततन्यो कण्ठस्तु राजन्नवमो यदीयो मुखारविन्दं दशमं प्रफुल्लम् एकादशौ यस्य ललाटपद्मं शिरोऽपि तु द्वादश एव भाति तमादिदेवं करुणावतारनिधानं तमालवर्णं सुहितावतारम् अपार संसार समुद्रसेतुं भजामहे भागवतः स्वरूपम् भजामहे भागवतः स्वरूपम्। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पंकुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणम्। Hare Krishna. So today let us continue with chapter 2 of canto 7, Hiranyakashipu, the king of the demons. So before that, I would want to brief a little bit on the significance of today's Akshaya Tritiya. Today is one of the most auspicious days in the entire Vedic calendar. Akshaya, the meaning of Akshaya means the one which never diminishes. So Akshaya Tritiya is very conducive to success in any endeavor, be it material endeavor or spiritual endeavor. So therefore, no other consideration is given when Akshaya Tritiya comes. It is assumed to be all auspicious. And this is the day, mainly this is the day of incarnation of Lord Parashuram. Lord Parashuram was an incarnation, Satyavesh avatar of the Supreme Lord. And this is the third day in Shukla Paksha, or the bright fortnight, beginning from Amavasya to Paurnami of this Vaishakha month. So therefore, Akshaya Tritiya, the Chandan Yatra which is celebrated, is also begins on Akshaya Tritiya day. It begins on the day of Akshaya Tritiya, where the deities are actually decorated with sandal paste for a period of 3 weeks until Narasimha Chaturdasi probably. This is the significance of Akshaya Tritiya. Any endeavor on the day of Akshaya Tritiya is supremely auspicious and will be supremely successful. So let us all pray to Lord Narasimha that He willing let the study of Srimad Bhagavatam be beneficial to all of us and for the Loka Kalyanam of the society in general on this most auspicious day. Thank you all for joining. Let us get started. So we all know, let us very briefly see what we have, let us briefly revise what we have seen until now. So the first chapter, the Supreme Lord is equal to everyone. So 3 questions were addressed here. What was the first question? The first question was, how come the Supreme Lord, who is the supreme well-wisher of everyone, who is equal to everyone, how come it appears that he is partial? And this question was asked by Parikshit Maharaj to Shukadeva Goswami. And Shukadeva Goswami replies saying that there is no partiality in the Supreme Lord. Why? Partiality is the cause of Icha and Dvesha. Partiality arises due to dualities. And there are no dualities in the Supreme Lord. He is not affected by dualities. Only when one is affected by dualities, one tries to take some paksha, either this paksha, this side or that side. But Lord is supremely pure. He is above the 3 modes of material nature. So therefore the dualities do not affect him. So therefore he is not partial, although he is favorably disposed towards the devotees, because ultimately he is also a person. When someone reciprocates with him very favorably, he is automatically favorable to them. And even to others, although he apparently reciprocates by killing or anything, still all the persons with whom he reciprocates are actually benefited by his reciprocation, whether his reciprocation be very favorable or whether his reciprocation is otherwise. So this is the first question. So what is the second question? The second question is, how come a person like Shishupal, who is extremely envious of the Supreme Lord, how come he achieved liberation? So for this also, Narada Muni actually, this question was actually asked by Yudhishthir Maharaj to Narada Muni. When in the course of explaining to Parikshit Maharaj about how the Lord is not partial, Shukadeva Goswami tells about another incident. He narrates another incident to Parikshit Maharaj. This incident is about Yudhishthir Maharaj during the Rajasuya Yajna. So Yudhishthir Maharaj inquires from Narada Muni after he sees that Supreme Lord has killed Shishupal. So how comes a person, and how Shishupal actually got liberation? He merged into the body of the Lord, which is very difficult even for great transcendentalists, even for great jnanis. So Yudhishthir Maharaj inquires from Narada Muni in this way. How come a person like Shishupal, who has been continuously envious of the Supreme Lord, how come he achieved liberation? What is this mercy of the Supreme Lord that such a person is also achieving liberation? Then Narada Muni goes to explain about the 5 different ways in which one can actually intensely remember the Supreme Lord. Out of Kama, out of Bhayat, Dvesha, Sambandhat, or Sneha. Kama, lust; Bhaya, fear; Dvesha, envy; Sambandhat, family relation; Sneha, affection. So in any of these 5 ways, when one performs Tivra Bhakti, or when one intensely remembers the form of the Supreme Lord, that person is always benefited. And he also explains the history. He explains the history of Shishupala and Dantavakra, who they actually were. They were actually eternal associates of the Supreme Lord. Jaya and Vijaya, who had to take birth in this material world owing to a curse given by the Chatushkumaras. So this is what we have seen. So the first birth was Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. The second birth was Ravana and Kumbhakarna. The third birth is Shishupala and Dantavakra, after which they not only got liberated, but they also went back home, back to Godhead, to resume their original eternal service. So the final question which was asked by Yudhishthir Maharaj to Narada Muni was, how come Hiranyakashipu was very inimical to his great devotee son Prahlad? Then how did Prahlad become a great devotee? These two were also very, very relevant and important questions. So Narada Muni begins to reply in this chapter. Shri Narada Uvacha Bhrataryevam Vinihate Harina Krodhamurtina Hiranyakashipu Rajan Paryatya Drusha Chusha Paryatapya Drusha Chusha. So Sri Narada Muni said, my dear King Yudhishthira, when Lord Vishnu in the form of Varaha, the boar, killed Hiranyaksha, Hiranyaksha's brother Hiranyakashipu was extremely angry and began to lament. So this killing of Hiranyaksha by Varaha is explained in very detail in the third canto again. So Hiranyaksha was tormenting practically everyone on this earth, and he also tormented Sri Bhudevi. Bhudevi is the eternal consort of the Supreme Lord. So as a result of which he had to be killed by the Supreme Lord. And Supreme Lord assumes the form of Varaha, the boar, to kill Hiranyaksha. Aha chedam rusha purna sandashta dasanachada kopo jwaladbhayam chakshubhyam nirikshan dhumramam varam. Filled with rage and biting his lips, Hiranyakashipu gazed at the sky with eyes that blazed in anger, making the whole sky smoky. Thus he began to speak. He became extremely angry when his younger brother was killed. So he was filled with rage. It is explained here, he was biting his lips like any other common man. When he gets angry, he keeps biting his lips, and he gazed at the sky with eyes that blazed in anger. Karaladam strogra drishtya dusprekshya brukuti mukha sulam udyamya sadasi danavan idam abravit. So what was he doing? He was exhibiting his terrible teeth, his fierce glance, and frowning eyebrows, which were terrible to see. He took up his weapon, a trident, and thus began speaking to his associates, the assembled demons. So it happened that all his associates, who were the demons, had come. So he was extremely angry. He was looking at the sky, and he began speaking to his associates. Bhobo danava daiteya vimurdham tiraksha shatabaho hayagriva namuchepaka ilvala. O Danavas and Daityas, O Vimurdha, Trayaksha, Sambara and Shatabahu, O Hayagriva, Namuchi, Paka and Ilvala, O Viprachitti, Puloman, Shakuna and other demons, all of you kindly hear me attentively and then act according to my words without delay. So he is instructing the Danavas and the Daityas. Danavas are sons of Dhanu and Daityas are the sons of Diti. Diti and Dhanu both are the wives of Kashyapa Rishi. Viprachitte mamavacha puloman shakunadaya shrunutanantaram sarve kriyatamasu machiram. So he continues, O Danavas and Daityas. All of you kindly hear from me. Shapatnair Shapatnair Ghati Takshudrair Bhrata medayita suhrit Parshni grahena harina Tamena Yupada Vanai. So he says, my insignificant enemies, the demigods, have combined to kill my very dear and obedient well-wisher, my brother Hiranyaksha. My insignificant enemies, that is the demigods, have combined to kill my very dear and obedient well-wisher, my brother Hiranyaksha. Although the Supreme Lord Vishnu is always equal to both of us, namely the demigods and the demons, this time, being devotedly worshipped by the demigods, he has taken their side and helped them to kill Hiranyaksha. So what is the thought process? The thought process of Hiranyakashipu can actually be seen here. So what was Hiranyakashipu telling here? He was saying that the Supreme Lord Vishnu, who is always equal to both the demigods and demons, because he is worshipped by the demigods, he has taken their side. Hiranyakashipu has an understanding about the supremacy of the Lord. But the problem is, he is actually not able to understand what is the position. He understands that Vishnu, the Supreme Lord Vishnu, is actually equal to both, but his conception is that because the demigods have worshipped him, he has become favorable or partial to them. In fact, what he has actually done is he has superimposed his thought process on the Supreme Lord. This is how a conditioned soul thinks. For example, we see in our everyday life, in politics, one person, one leader, he quits one party and he goes to another party because another party is giving him something which one party could not give. Then this person becomes angry on him. He thinks that because he has been favored by, although he was equal to both, because he has been favored in this way, that is why he is going there. All these kind of things they start telling. So that is how they think, and that is all is their thinking capacity also. Hiranyakashipu does not understand. He does not accept the supremacy. Although he was telling that Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Lord, is actually equal to both of us, he has actually taken the side of those by whom he has been worshipped. So therefore, he has become very partial here. So this is the demonic mentality, to think that Lord has become partial or materially partial. To think that Lord has become affected by Maya. Who becomes partial? We have already discussed. Only that person who is actually affected by dualities become partial. And who is affected by dualities? Only a conditioned soul is affected by dualities, not the Supreme Lord. So when the Supreme Lord is not affected by dualities, how can he become partial? But the demonic mentality, Hiranyakashipu is representing the demonic mentality in all of us. The demonic mentality actually makes us think that Lord also has become affected by the three modes. That Lord also has been, affected by Maya. We are affected by Maya. That is why we are under the control of these three modes in this material existence. And because we are under the control of three modes in this material existence, we are always affected by dualities, praise and honor, respect and disrespect. So this Icha and Dvesha can affect only a conditioned soul who is affected by Maya, but it cannot affect the Supreme Lord who is eternally pure, who is eternally above the three modes. But Hiranyakashipu here, he is superimposing his thought process on the Supreme Lord. So because a conditioned soul is like that, the demonic mentality in the conditioned soul actually makes him think that the Lord is also partial. So he was saying, because he was being worshipped by the demigods, that is why he has taken their side. This kind of conception about the Lord is completely wrong. The Lord is equal to everyone. Samoham sarvabhuteshu name dveshchoti na priyaha ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya maite teshu chapyaham. So the demigods are worshipping the Supreme Lord, and therefore the Lord is favorably disposed to them, but it does not mean he has become materially partial to them. But we become partial. We become partial to those who treat us very nicely. We treat them very nicely in return, and we become very inimical. But the Lord is not like that. So this kind of misconception is explained here. So this is the demoniac tendency. This kind of misconception is a demoniac tendency. Tasya tyakta svabhavasya griner maya vanaukasha bhajantam bhajamanasya balasyeva stiratmanaha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has given up his natural tendency of equality towards demons and demigods. See how he is thinking, Hiranyakashipu. Not only he is saying this, the Supreme Lord, he has given up his natural tendency of equality. That means what? He means to say that Supreme Lord, although he is addressing Vishnu as the Supreme Lord, he is saying that he has given up his natural tendency of equality. So this equality tendency has been given up by the Supreme Lord towards the demons and demigods. Now he is no more equal. Although he is the Supreme Person, just see what is he saying. He is saying outwardly, although he is the Supreme Person, now being influenced by Maya, he has assumed the form of a boar to please his devotees, the demigods, just as a restless child leans towards someone. I shall therefore sever Lord Vishnu's head from his trunk by my trident, and with profuse blood from his body, I shall please my brother Hiranyaksha, who was so fond of sucking blood. Thus, I shall too be peaceful. So this is the thought process we have already discussed. He is saying, he is addressing Lord Vishnu as the Supreme Lord. Although he is addressing, he is also saying that he has given up his natural tendency of equality because he is influenced by Maya. So this is a great misconception. The great misconception is to think that Lord has been influenced by Maya. Lord can never be the Supreme Lord. That is why he is called Supreme. If he is actually influenced by Maya, why should he be called Supreme? He is never influenced by Maya. He is always above Maya. Maya Dyakshena Prakrite Suyate Sacharacharam. This whole material world is actually running under Lord's superintendence, under Lord's supervision. He can never be influenced by Maya. But however, Hiranyakashipu, although he is addressing the Lord as Supreme, he is saying that although he is Supreme, now he is influenced by a Maya, because just like a restless child leans towards someone. How a restless child behaves? When someone gives the child something which, which gives pleasure to his senses, immediately he goes to their side. A small child, he doesn't know anything. Wherever he sees something, materially, or when he sees something very glittering, which can give pleasure to his mind and senses, immediately he goes to that side. So Hiranyakashipu is comparing Lord Vishnu just like a restless child. He is addressing, although he is addressing that Lord is supreme, he is saying that now he has been influenced by Maya. So therefore, I shall cut Vishnu's head from his trunk by my trident, and with the profuse blood from his body, I shall please my brother Hiranyaksha. This is the extent of demonic. Just see the very great extent of demoniac nature in Hiranyakashipu. Machula bhinna grivasya bhurina rudirena vai asrat priyam sarpayishye bhrataram megatavyata. This is the same. This is the 7th verse and this is the 8th verse actually. So the translation was common to both the verses, 7th and 8th. So he's saying here, Asrat Priyam Tarpayishye. In fact, he's saying, generally when someone passes away, the Tarpana will be offered with water. Right? He's saying, I will actually offer Tarpanam with blood. Tasmin kute hitenaste Kritap mule vanaspatau vitapa iva tushyanti Vishnu prana divokasha. And now he's saying, when the root of a tree is cut and when the tree falls down, its branches and twigs automatically dry up. Similarly, when I have killed this diplomatic Vishnu, see what kind of words he's using for the Supreme Lord. He's saying that Lord Vishnu has become partial. He has become influenced by Maya. He has become diplomatic. He has become like a child who is very restless and who leans very conveniently from one side to another side. Similarly, when I have killed this diplomatic Vishnu, the demigods for whom Lord Vishnu is the life and soul will lose their life and wither away. He is thinking he can kill the Supreme Lord Vishnu. This is all a result of illusion. He wants to kill Vishnu because he knows that Lord Vishnu is the source of strength for all the demigods, because the demigods are naturally devoted to the Supreme Lord. The demons, although they know that Lord Vishnu is the Supreme Lord, somehow they are not obedient to the Supreme Lord. So here also Hiranyakashipu knows. If you see here, he is saying Lord, he is addressing Lord Vishnu as Supreme, but he does not want to obey the Supreme Lord out of envy. The demons also know. The demons also know that Vishnu is the Supreme Lord, but they just out of envy, they do not want to obey the orders of the Supreme Lord. Whereas the devotees or the demigods, they naturally are very obedient. They are naturally submissive to the Supreme Lord and his orders. So he's saying here that if I kill Lord Vishnu, the demigods for whom Lord Vishnu is life and soul, they will naturally lose their source of life and they will wither away. So his plan was that he wanted to personally kill the Supreme Lord Vishnu. This is plan number 1. Let us see what was his plan number 2. Tavadyata bhuvam yuyam brahmakshatra sameditam sudayadvam tapo yajna swadhyaya vratadaninah. Now he is saying, while I am engaged in killing, while I am engaged in the business of killing Lord Vishnu, I will kill Lord Vishnu. Go down to the planet Earth, which is flourishing due to Brahminical culture and Kshatriya government. These people engage in austerity, sacrifice, Vedic study, regulative vows, and charity. Destroy all the people who are engaged. So he wanted to personally kill Vishnu, and he wanted his associates to come and completely destroy the Brahminical culture and the Kshatriya government. So one must understand that this is an ideal society. So an ideal society is a society in which Brahminical culture is promoted. That was our Vedic Varnashrama. What was Vedic Varnashrama? The Brahmanas, they are protected. They are protected a lot. Why they are protected? Because they are spiritually very much advanced. They actually conduct these yajnas. Patan, Patan, Yajan, Yajan. They study the scriptures. They perform yajnas. They guide the Kshatriyas. And the Kshatriyas, they rule the people. And Vaishyas, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. The Vaishyas, they protect the cows. They engage themselves in agriculture so that everybody gets the required necessities to eat and live happily. And the Shudras, they actually assist all the other 3 classes. Chaturvarnyam Maya Srishtam. These Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras is a very natural arrangement created by the Supreme Lord. Chaturvarnyam Maya Srishtam. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Maya Srishtam means I have created these 4 Varnas and 4 Ashramas. Therefore, the Vedic society was very, very happy because everyone lived in very peaceful cooperation with one another. The Brahmanas, they were performing their duties very carefully, which includes reading scriptures, performing yajnas, teaching people in general, and teaching the Kshatriyas, guiding the Kshatriyas how to rule. And the Kshatriyas, they were ruling in a very honest way, in a very chivalrous way. They were protecting the religion by their strength. And the Vaishyas were working very hard to protect the cows. The Kshatriyas used to protect the citizens, whereas the Vaishyas used to give protection to the animals. So cow protection was there, and agriculture was taken care by the Vaishyas, and the Shudras, they used to assist all the 3 classes. So therefore, different sections of people lived very cooperatively in the Vedic system. So what is the business of a demon? We see here. The business of a demon is to destroy this Vedic system, to destroy the Brahminical culture. So Hiranyakashipu, he said, I will kill Vishnu. In the meanwhile, you go and destroy the Brahminical culture. All the people who are engaged, you please destroy them. Why? Let us see here. Vishnurgvijakriyamulo yajno dharmamayam puman devarshe pitrabhutanam dharmasya cha parayanam. So he says, Hiranyakashipu is saying like this, he knows everything. The basic principle of Brahminical culture is to satisfy Lord Vishnu, the personification of sacrificial and ritualistic ceremonies. Lord Vishnu is the personified reservoir of all the religious principles, and he is the shelter of all demigods, the great Pitas and the people in general. When the Brahmanas are killed, no one will exist to encourage the Kshatriyas to perform yajnas, and thus the demigod, not being appeased by yajna, will automatically die. So what all measures or what all plans Hiranyakashipu is actually making to destroy the demigods, we can see here. Firstly, he wanted to kill Vishnu. He wanted to kill the Supreme Lord. And secondly, he wanted to kill the Supreme Lord because Supreme Lord is the life and soul of the Devatas or the demigod. So therefore, they thought if Supreme Lord dies, so Hiranyakashipu thought if Supreme Lord is killed, then automatically the demigods will lose all their strength. And similarly, second way he wanted to attack the demigods is by destroying the Brahminical culture. So when Brahminical culture is, when the Brahmanas are destroyed, then there will be no one to guide the Kshatriyas to perform these yajnas. So therefore, the demigods, when sacrifice is performed, the demigods actually receive their share. So therefore, when the Brahmanas are destroyed, there will be nobody to guide the Kshatriyas to perform the yajnas, and therefore demigods will not be appeased by yajna. From two sides, he wanted to attack the demigods. One is by killing Lord Vishnu, and second is by depriving them of all their sacrifices, depriving the demigods of all their share in the sacrifices, and by this they will automatically die. Yatra yatra dvijagavo veda varnashrama kriya tam tam janapadam yata sandipayata vrishchata. He is instructing his associates. Immediately go wherever there is good protection for the cows and brahmanas, and wherever the Vedas are studied in terms of Varnashrama principles, set fire to those places and cut from the roots the tree which are the sources of life. So this is a demoniac quality, a manifestation of demoniac quality. One of the manifestations of the demoniac quality, there are many manifestations. One of the most important manifestation is that the demons always want to destroy the Brahmanas. They want to destroy the Brahminical culture. When the Brahmanas are said to be, in the Purusha Suktam it is described, Brahmanas are the head of the Lord, and Kshatriyas are the arms, Vaishyas are the thighs, and Shudras are the feet. So when Brahmanas are the head, Brahmanas actually guide the entire society. Brahmanas guide the Kshatriyas, Brahmanas guide the entire society. So when Brahmanas are destroyed, or when Brahminical culture is destroyed, what happens is the society gradually degrades. In fact, that is how our whole country was destroyed. The ones who destroyed our country knew very well. They knew very well what is the strength of our country. They knew that Brahminical culture and cow protection. So therefore, completely they destroyed the Brahminical culture and cow protection. How did they do that? The Brahminical culture was destroyed by introducing modern education. Previously, there were so many Gurukulas. Even 200 years back, there were so many Gurukulas and so many people living very peacefully. One is by introducing modern education. And what does modern education do? Modern education, does it speak about God anywhere? Does it speak that Lord is the Supreme and we are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord? We are the spirit soul and our eternal position is to serve the Supreme Lord. Does it teach? It does not teach. So they introduced modern education and they began cow slaughter. So wherever Brahminical culture and cow protection is destroyed, the whole society gradually becomes very weak and degraded. Wherever Brahminical culture and cow protection is encouraged, that society flourishes. The basis of guidance. So Hiranyakashipu's instruction was immediately go wherever there is good protection for Brahmanas, wherever the Vedas are studied. Set fire to all those places and cut from the roots the tree which are the sources of life. I think Can someone go on mute? Can you please mute everyone? Ashutosh Prabhu? I think by mistake.
Okay, Prabhu. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Is it okay now?
Yes, Prabhu.
So we have the following points to learn here. Destruction of human civilization, Varnashrama, is a result of demonic activities. If we see that a society where Brahminical culture and cow protection has been destroyed, we must understand that it is a result of demonic activity. If we see that Brahminical culture and cow protection is actually increasing, we can understand that that society is actually being guided properly and it is on the path of being flourished. So therefore, here Hiranyakashipu also instructs, set fire to those places and cut from the roots the trees. Sandipayati vrischata. Tamtam janapadam yata. Sandipayata vrischata. Set fire to those places and cut from the roots the trees. So here is also said that the trees also should be given protection. He is also asking, Hiranyakashipu is asking his associates not only to destroy the Brahmanas and the Brahminical culture and to set fire to wherever this Brahminical culture is being practiced, he is also instructing the associates to cut the trees from the roots. Trees should also cut the trees from the roots. So it is said the trees should also be given protection. One must not simply cut the trees unnecessarily. Today we are seeing how many trees are cut. And when trees are cut, what happens? They are actually utilized for paper. And the maximum amount of paper, what is the use of the maximum amount of paper? In fact, maximum amount of paper is actually misused. By cutting trees, they are making paper and a great amount of paper is actually very much misused. So therefore, trees should also be given protection. And another thing we are able to see, because so many trees have been cut, there is no natural oxygen. Everywhere trees have been cut, everywhere, Brahminical culture is destroyed. Everywhere people want to build or, create so many things which are against the scriptures. So therefore, this is not such a society is not a correct society. Iti te bhratar nirdesham adaya sirashadrita tata prajanam kadanam vidadu kadana priya. Thus, the demons, being fond of disastrous activities, took Hiranyakashipu's instructions on their heads with great respect and offered him obeisances. According to his directions, they engaged in envious activities directed against all living beings. So the associates, they were very submissive to Hiranyakashipu and they all began executing his instructions. You can refer to 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, which fully explains how the demons engage in sinful activities for the destruction of the general population. And then we will be able to understand who is divine and who is demoniac. Puragrama Vrajodhyana Kshetra Ramashramakaran Ketakharvata Goshamscha Dadadu Pattananicha. So what did the demons do is described here. Those demons, after receiving the instruction from Hiranyakashipu, they set fire. They set fire to the cities, the villages, the pasturing grounds. The cow pens, the gardens, agricultural fields and natural forests. They burned the hermitages of saintly persons and the important mines that produced valuable metal. They burned the residential quarters of agriculturists, the mountain villages and the villages of cow protectors. They also burnt the government capitals. Everything they began destroying. So the point is, what is the purpose of the Supreme? What is the purpose of life? Purpose of life is to please the Supreme Lord. Unfortunately, we see that in a modern society, the entire society is increasingly moving in a godless direction. Are these things promoted in the society? Is Brahminical culture promoted? There are no Brahmanas. Even if there are very, very few people who are practicing Brahmanas, they are also not encouraged. Similarly, cows are slaughtered in a very large scale. All these things are very, very sinful. This is not the purpose of life. Then what is the purpose of life? Srila Prabhupada explains here. Purpose of life is to please the Supreme Lord through one's activities. But through such activities like what were performed by Hiranyakashipu's associates, is the Supreme Lord pleased? No. So we see very clearly today in the modern society, the entire society is actually moving in a completely godless direction. All their activities are actually in a completely godless direction, and one thinks that he can be happy by sense gratification. For one's sense gratification, for one's immediate pleasure, one is ready to do anything and everything without thinking about the long-term benefits of such an action. How it is going to affect me, how it is going to affect my near and dear ones, how is it going to affect the entire society, how my action is going to affect the next generation. Am I giving proper culture through my activities to the next generation? These things, people, they just don't have time. They don't even have time to introspect about these things. So we are seeing how the demons actually destroyed the entire civilization. Kechit khanetrair bibidu setu prakara gopuran ajivyam chiddur vrikshan kechit parashupanayah pradahan sharanan yeke prajanam jwalitol mukhai. Some of the demons, what did they do? They took digging instruments and they broke down the bridges. They broke down the protective walls of the cities. Some of them took axes and began cutting the important trees like mango tree, jackfruit tree, and other trees. Some of the demons set fire to the residential quarters of the citizens. So it is said, it's a Shastric injunction that any tree which produces nice fruit should not be cut at all. But today we are seeing, for the sake of getting some temporary pleasure, or you can call whatever it is, people are ready to cut down trees on a large scale. That is why the oxygen level is decreasing, the natural oxygen level is decreasing, and the pollution is increasing. And now we are actually going for all artificial means to generate. Whatever is very natural, because the natural was destroyed, it has become very artificial. If you see, even the organic, firstly, all the things which we consume are actually adulterated, in the sense there are a lot of pesticides, there are a lot of fertilizers which are used in all what we eat. And organic products have become very expensive. Something which is very natural has become very, very expensive. This is the situation when one is actually destroying, the Brahminical culture, when one is destroying the cows, when one is destroying the trees, and when one is actually destroying the natural resources indiscriminately. Evam viprakrite loke daityendran nucharair muhu divam deva parityajya bhuvicherur alakshita. Thus disturbed again and again by the unnatural occurrences caused by the followers of Hiranyakashipu, all the people had to cease the activities of Vedic culture. Not receiving the results of yajna, the demigods also become disturbed. They left their residential quarters in the heavenly planets and, unobserved by the demons, began wandering on the planet Earth to see the disasters. Hiranyakashipur bhratu samparetasya dukkhitaha kritva kato dakadini Bhratraputran Asantayat. So after performing the final rites for his brother, Hiranyakashipu, being extremely unhappy, tried to pacify his nephews, that is, the sons of Hiranyaksha. Now let us see how he did that. Shakunim sambaram drishtim bhuta santapanam vrikam kalanabham mahanabham harimasram atotkacham. O king, Hiranyakashipu was extremely angry. Narada Muni is narrating to Yudhishthir Maharaj. But since he was a great politician, he knew how to act according to the time and situation. With sweet words, he began pacifying his nephews, whose names were Shakuni, Shambara, Drishti, Bhutasantapana, Vrika, Kalanabha, Mahanabha, Harimashru, and Utkacha. He also consoled their mother, his sister-in-law, Vrishabhanu, as well as his own mother, Diti. So now he is going to his relatives. Until now, he was speaking to his associates. He was very, very angry, and he gave them all demonic instructions. While he himself said that he will cut the head of Lord Vishnu. On one side, he wanted to cut the head of Lord Vishnu, and on the other side, he wanted to destroy the Brahminical culture so that the demigods will be eventually destroyed. That was his conception. And now what he is doing after performing the final rites, he is going to his relatives, that is his nephews, his sister-in-law, and his mother, Diti. Now let us see how he is speaking to them. Tanmataram Rushabhanam Ditim cha jananim gira Srakshnaya desha kalagnya idam aha janeshwara. O king, Hiranyakashipu was extremely angry, but since he was a great politician, he knew how to act according to time and situation. This translation is for these two verses actually. Sri Hiranyakashipu Ruvacha. Hiranyakashipu says like this. Ambamba hevadu putra Dhiram marhata sochitam Riporabhimuke slagya Suranam vada ipsitaha. So Hiranyakashipu says, my dear mother, my dear sister-in-law and nephews, you should not lament for the death of a great hero. For a hero's death in front of his enemy is glorious and desirable. And do you know something? This is actually correct. Of course, his brother was not a hero, but generally it is a Shastric injunction that a hero's death in front of his enemy is very glorious. And a hero means a Kshatriya, a proper Kshatriya. A Kshatriya's death in front of his enemy is glorious, and the Kshatriya actually who dies fighting in that way attains higher planets. So he is instructing like this, do not lament because Hiranyaksha's death is glorious. Now he says like this, Bhutanamiha samvasaha prapayamiva subrate Daive naikatra nitanam unnitanam swakarma bihi. My dear mother, in a restaurant or a place for drinking cold water, many travelers are brought together, and after drinking water, they continue to their respective destinations. Similarly, living entities join together in a family, and later, as a result of their own actions, they are led apart to their destinations. He is speaking very high philosophy. He is speaking philosophy here, Hiranyakashipu. He is saying, he is comparing all the family members. In fact, what he is saying is correct. Now we will see one very important concept which actually one must understand from Hiranyakashipu. After the subsequent verses we can see. Now he is actually saying, just like in a public place, whether it be a restaurant, whether it be some train or something, different travelers are brought together. And they come here, come there, they are all there for 1 hour or so for their own purpose. And after that, they immediately disperse after their purpose is over. So similarly, all the living entities join together in a family, and later as a result of their own actions, they are led apart to their destinations. These are statements of a person who is in knowledge actually. In fact, such instructions are given by great sages also in many other parts of Srimad Bhagavatam. Because one must not be attached to one's temporary relatives. In fact, all the family members which we see who are surrounding us, or family members or friends, or all the near and dear ones, if we see, this is very true. What Hiranyakashipu is saying is true. We all are here for some time, and time according to our karma can separate us anytime. Anytime, any member of the family can die. It has become more prominent now after this COVID pandemic. Suddenly, someone gets COVID, and within 1 week, the family member is dead. So he is speaking very high philosophy here. He is speaking statements of great knowledge. In fact, Hiranyakashipu was having very high knowledge. If you see in the previous verses, he was also addressing the Lord as supreme. Now let us see what is this. Although Hiranyakashipu was a demon, he had Vedic knowledge and understanding. Therefore, whatever advice he has been giving to his relatives, it was very sound. But what was the problem then? Similarly, the demigods, they are also in knowledge. The demons, they are also in knowledge. They also have very high Vedic knowledge. But what is the difference? The difference is the demigods use their intelligence for serving the Lord. And the demigods use their intelligence for serving the Lord, whereas the demons who are envious of the Lord, they always want to be very inimical towards the Lord. They always think of destroying the Lord. They think of destroying Brahmins, Brahminical culture. Namo Brahmanya Devaya, Go Brahmanya Hitayacha. Brahmins are Brahminical culture, or the Brahmanas, not the caste Brahmanas. Brahmanas by qualities. Brahmanas by qualities are very, very dear to the Supreme Lord. So they want to destroy the Brahmanas. They want to destroy Brahminical culture. They want to do so many things which are inimical to the Supreme Lord. Whereas, although they know, they are in knowledge. The demons and the demigods, they have Vedic knowledge, but it is only how they conduct themselves. The demigods, they act very intelligently to satisfy the Supreme Lord. Nitya Atma Vyah Shuddha Sarvaga Sarva Vitparaha Datte Savatma No Lingam Mayaya Visrajan Gunan. So here he says, the spirit soul, the living entity, has no death, for he is eternal and inexhaustible. Being free from material contamination, he can go anywhere in the material or spiritual worlds. He's speaking about spiritual world. See how much knowledge Hiranyakashipu has. Just imagine. He is fully aware and completely different from the material body. But because of being misled by misuse of his slight independence, he is obliged to accept subtle and gross bodies created by the material energy and thus be subjected to so-called happiness and distress. Therefore, no one should lament for the passing of spirit soul from the body. He is speaking very high philosophy. In fact, Hiranyakashipu is speaking what we have been discussing for the last 3 days. But what is the difference? The difference is, yesterday we were discussing. The difference is Anukulyatha. Hiranyakashipu also knows all this. In fact, this is all the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita. Hiranyakashipu knows everything. Hiranyakashipu is aware of everything. He is in knowledge of everything. But this Anukulyata is missing. He is not favorably disposed to the Supreme Lord. Yesterday we have seen 4 aspects actually. Anukulyata, Ananyata, Tivrata, and one more aspect is there, Nirantarata. Nirantarata means rendering unalloyed devotion irrespective of the situation. Being being favorably disposed to the Lord by the means of devotional service, beginning with Shravanam and Kirtanam, despite any external situation. That is one more characteristic. I think I did not mention yesterday. So the only difference is the Anukulyata is not there in the demons, whereas it is there in the demigods. Both of them have knowledge. If we see the philosophy which Hiranyakashipu is speaking, it's very high philosophy. It is the same thing which we have been discussing. See, he is saying the living entity, the spirit soul, he is fully aware and is completely different from material body, but because of being misled by the misuse of his slight independence, he is obliged to accept subtle and gross bodies created by material energy. We were discussing about conditioned soul yesterday, but we are trying to, favorably approach the Lord. We also have many shortcomings, but at least we are endeavoring to approach the Lord in a very favorable way, or in a, by Anukulyata. We are endeavoring in that way. But the only difference here is that Hiranyakashipu, despite being in knowledge, is not favorably disposed towards the Supreme Lord. Yatambasa prachalata taravo pichala iva chakshusa brahmya manena drishyate chalati babu. Because the movements of the water, the trees on the bank of a river, when reflected on the water, seem to move. Similarly, when the eyes move because of some mental derangement, the land appears to move also. He is giving so many examples to actually illustrate the philosophy. Because of the movements of the water, the tree on the bank also appears to move. Similarly, when the eyes move, we see, for example, when a drunken person is there, his eyes are moving all around. He feels that even the land is moving. It's actually an illusion. So Hiranyakashipu, by many examples, is actually illustrating this illusion. Evam gunair brahmyamane manasya vikalap puman yati tat samyatam bhadre shyalingo lingavaniva. So now he's continuing. In the same way, O my gentle mother, when the mind is agitated by the movements of the modes of material nature, the living entity, although freed from all different phases of subtle and gross bodies, thinks that he has changed from one condition to another. He's giving this example. This is the example here. In the same way, just as the trees on a bank of a river, when reflected in water, seem to move. See, if you see this tree, when it is reflected in water, the tree appears to be moving. Similarly, when the mind is agitated by the modes of material nature, when the mind is agitated by the three gunas, the living entity, although he is actually freed from all different phases of subtle and gross bodies, he thinks that he has changed from one condition to another. So all these changes which he is actually experiencing, all the material changes he is experiencing is because of the influence of three modes. Again, this is the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita. This is very high knowledge which is being spoken by Hiranyakashipu. One may wonder, how come he is a demon? No, a demon, he has knowledge. So we should see, this is a very important section here. One must see what is the difference between Hiranyakashipu and the demonic population of the modern world. Hiranyakashipu was a great demon. Unlike the foolish atheistic demonic population of the modern world. What is the difference? The difference is the atheistic population of this world does not acknowledge the form of the Supreme Lord. The atheistic population of this world, they do not acknowledge the form of the Supreme Lord. They in fact deny the existence of Supreme Lord. If you speak about Supreme Lord, they will laugh at you. They never they never acknowledge that Supreme Lord has a form. He has qualities. They never acknowledge that Supreme Lord is a person who has form, who has qualities, who has feelings. They do not acknowledge that Supreme Lord is a person. But Hiranyakashipu, he was not like that. Hiranyakashipu had clear knowledge of the spirit soul, the subtle and gross bodies. Whereas, if you see the foolish atheistic demonic population of the modern world, people in general, they do not have any clear knowledge of what is the spirit soul and what is the subtle and gross body. You can try asking anyone, what is the spirit soul, what is the gross body, please tell me the difference. They will not be able to understand. So this is the difference. Hiranyakashipu was a very learned demon. He was a very knowledgeable demon. The only problem was because of his envy, he was not able to be favorably disposed to the Supreme Lord. That anukulyata was not there. Tivrata was there. He was feeling extremely angry. But he was not favorably disposed to the Supreme Lord. So the demonic population is so degraded that everyone is in the bodily conception of life. They don't even have knowledge of the spirit soul and what is the subtle and the gross body. Whereas Hiranyakashipu, you see how he was instructing his relatives. He has a lot of knowledge. Therefore, it is said in Bhagavatam, Yasyatma buddhi kunapetri dhatuke swadikkalatra dishubhaumaji ijyadhi yattirtha buddhi salilena karhichi janeshva vigneshu saheva gokara. So, anyone who has only the bodily conception of life, one who does not have the knowledge of the spirit soul, it says a human being who identifies the body made of three elements as the self, one who thinks that his body as his self, who considers the byproducts of his body to be his kinsmen, and who considers the land of his birth worshipable, and who goes to a place of pilgrimage simply to take bath rather than to meet men of transcendental knowledge, is to be considered like a cow or an ass. So this is the situation of the demonic population today. They do not identify themselves other than the three elements. and they are least interested in transcendental knowledge. Eshatma viparyasho hyalinge linga bhavana yesha priya priyeryogo viyoga karma samshriti. In his bewildered state, the living entity accepting the body and the mind to be self, Hiranyakashipu is saying this. In his bewildered state, who the jiva, the living entity, accepting the body and mind to be the self, considers some people to be his kinsmen and others to be outsiders because of this misconception. See, he has knowledge and he also knows that this is misconception, but he is not able to come out of that misconception. Hiranyakashipu. It's very interesting how he is speaking. Because of this misconception, he suffers. Indeed, the accumulation of such concocted material ideas is the cause of suffering and so-called happiness in the material world. The conditioned soul, thus situated, must take birth in different species and work in various types of consciousness, thus creating new bodies. This continued material life is called samsara. Birth, death, lamentation, foolishness, and anxiety are due to such material considerations. Thus, we sometimes come to a proper understanding and sometimes fall again into a wrong conception of life. Just see his knowledge. He knows everything. He is able to, he is seeing. See, Hiranyakashipu is saying, he is able to, he understands that the soul, the living entity, accepting the body and mind to be the self, considers some people to be his kinsmen, others to be his outsiders. He knows everything and he knows that this is a misconception also, but he himself is actually not able to come out of that misconception. Had he able to come out of that misconception, he would never have been inimical to the Supreme Lord. He is saying that the bewildered living entity considers some people to be his kinsmen and others to be his outsiders. And he also says that this is a misconception because of which one suffers. But what was Hiranyakashipu himself doing? He was thinking that Hiranyaksha is his kinsman. He was very much attached to his younger brother. He knows it's a misconception, but he himself is in that misconception and neither is he able to come out of that misconception. Why he is not able to come out of that misconception? Because he is not favorably disposed to the Supreme Lord. So although he knows everything, still he has not realized that. And he is not able to come out of that misconception, although he is in knowledge. So this is the difference between a devotee and a demon. A devotee and a demon, I mean a demon like Hiranyakashipu. A devotee, he knows all these things. A practicing devotee also knows all these things, but he also understands that I am suffering from this misconception. I am also in this misconception. I am also in the bodily conception. So he knows that he is in the bodily conception and he knows he is struggling, but still he doesn't give up hope and he is very favorably disposed to the Lord. And by the Lord's mercy, when one performs devotional service, beginning with hearing about the Lord, chanting the Lord's names, then by performing such bhakti with ananyata, anukulyata, tivrata, and nirantarata, one by the mercy of the Lord is slowly elevated in one's spiritual understanding and slowly one is elevated in one's consciousness. Sambhavascha vinashascha shokascha vividasmrita avivekascha chinta cha viveka smritirevacha. In his bewildered state, yeah, this is the same, this is 25 and 26 put together. Sambhavascha vinasascha shokascha vividasmrita avivekascha chinta cha viveka smritirevacha. Atra yudaharanti mam itihasam puratanam yamasya preta bandhunam samvadam tam nibodata. So Hiranyakashipu begins narrating a story from history. This story involves a discourse, or it involves a discussion between Yamaraj and the friends of a dead person. Now Hiranyakashipu, he has given so many examples, he has told so many philosophical points, and now he begins to tell a story. He begins to narrate a story to actually quantify these points. Please hear it attentively. That is what he is saying to his relatives. We will see the story tomorrow. Before that, we can finish this. We can just have an introduction to what that story is. उशीनेर्श्वभूद्राजा सुयज्ञा इति विश्रुतः शपत्नेर्निहतो युद्धे ज्ञातयस्तं उपासता. In a state known as Ushinara, there was a celebrated king named Suyajna. When the king was killed in the battle by his enemies, his kinsmen sat down around the dead body and began to lament the death of their friend. Vishirnaratna kavacham vibrastabharanasrijam saranirbhinna hridayam sayanam masrigavilam. His golden bejeweled armor smashed, his ornaments and garlands fallen from their places, his hair scattered, and his eyes lusterless. The slain king lay on the battlefield, and his entire body was smeared with blood. His heart was pierced by the arrows of the enemy, and when he died, he wanted to show his prowess, and thus he had bitten his lips, and his teeth remained in that position. His beautiful lotus-like face was now black and covered with dust from the battlefield. His arms, with his sword and other weapons, were cut and broken. When the queen of the king Ushinara saw their husband, the queens of King Ushinara saw their husband lying in that position, they began crying, "O Lord, now that you have been killed, we have also been killed." Repeating these words again and again, they fell down at the feet of the dead king. These two verses combined was the previous translation. So we will end today for the time being. Tomorrow we will continue with this story which Hiranyakashipu is actually narrating to his relatives. We can take some questions now. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, what is the difference between Daitya and Danava? Daitya means Devatas?
No. Daitya and Danava. Daitya means the sons of Diti. And Danava means sons of Dhanu. Both of them were demons only. And both Diti and Dhanu were two wives of Kashyapa.
Okay, Prabhuji. What is the difference between their qualities?
No, they are all having the same qualities. Daitya, Danava. Both are having the same qualities. Both are demonic. It is only
Prabhuji.
all of different mothers. They are addressed in different ways. That's all.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Prabhuji, 26 and 27 both are same, huh?
No, 26 and 27 are two different verses, but the translation is the same. That's why I did not repeat it for 27.
Oh, confused, that's right. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare